Join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to welcome everybody here tonight. It's nice to see the room filling up more and more each week. Do we have any needs for translation? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to the approval of the agenda.
I motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second. Got a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So carries. Next thing is public comment. Do we have any public comment tonight? Okay. Seeing none, we will go on to recognition.
Yeah, thank you, Director Johnson. It's an honor tonight to recognize a fine group of folks from Othello High School, the folks who work in our AVID program. And since we have some new board members, you may have heard the term AVID, and I just want to give you a brief overview on what that is before I turn it over to Amy Paris, who's our district director, and Colette Simpson, who's our site team leader and coordinator at Othello High School. So AVID's goal is to prepare all students for college readiness. That's the purpose of the program, and these fine folks have a structure and a system for identifying kids who may benefit from the opportunities that exist in AVID. Sebastian is an AVID student at Othello High School, a sophomore. Were you an AVID in middle school?
Yes.
All right, so Sebastian, he could probably give the overview better than I can, so he'll fact check me here for just a bit. But AVID is an elective course, and some of the key components of the elective are that they're signed up for rigorous courses, so they challenge themselves, and they have adults who are encouraging them and helping them think about that. They work in tutorials a couple days a week where they're partnering with each other, so thinking about that idea of college success and college readiness. It's getting together with your colleagues and wrestling with a problem, a point of confusion, bringing that information in a written form and saying, I'm struggling here, this is where I'm stuck, and supporting each other through that. And then one of the other things they work on is around organization. How do I stay organized as a student? How do I make sure my binder's in order? How do I stay on top of my assignments? And advocating for myself is am I doing all right?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Sebastian. One of the other really effective things at AVID, we've been an AVID school district since 2010. And AVID is really savvy about the training they provide for the teachers that are engaged in this work, teachers and administrators. And they have a certification process. So you submit artifacts. The site team goes through this whole process to become certified, to be allowed to call themselves an AVID school or school district. We received notification just last week that the designation at the high school had changed. And so Amy and the team are here today to tell you a little bit about that. It's taken 14 years, but they're at a pretty special place, and so we'll turn it over to them.
Thank you. I thought you were going to steal our thunder. Dang. What does AVID stand for?
Come back to me in 3 to 5 business days.
Close. Pete?
So I could have started there. I told you they were going to fact check me. So AVID is for Advancement via Individual Determination. So it's this idea that you're going to take rigorous courses, you're going to advance your skills and create more opportunities for yourself, but you're going to help yourself along the way. You're going to advocate. You're going to take, again, challenging courses, and you're going to ask for help. And so really it is about surrounding you with supportive and well-trained adults, but you have some skin in the game as well. We expect you to work hard when you're there.
Yes, thank you. So it is kind of an honor tonight to bring some of the AVID rock stars with me. Like Pete mentioned, every year we submit a ton of data and all these certification points that they want. They really audit the program from top to bottom. We have AVID from 7th through 12th grade. And in a nutshell, in order to receive all those things that Pete talked about, we find students who are very motivated, driven, and think they want to go to a 4-year college after their high school experience. And a lot of times they're first-generation students or students with low-income situations where maybe college wouldn't be in their future if we didn't kind of intervene with this amazing program. So that's one component of it. We're pretty proud of learning the program top to bottom and being able to know that kind of unwritten college knowledge that students need. So a lot of these people are involved in the Avid elective that we're going to introduce you to. And the elective is a special class from 7th through 12th grade that 25 to 30 students are with a teacher, and they get this kind of training every single day. So we're proud of that program, but our new designation from Avid Nation is actually a school-wide designation, because for the last few years we've worked really hard on spreading these strategies to general ed classes outside of just the elective program, so all of our students have access. So a little bit of context, Pete mentioned we started this in 2010. So for 8 years, we were at just the MEETS certification, which we were actually pretty proud of, because there's a lot that goes on, a lot of things we have to do, and it's all for the kids in the end. We know this program works. Then COVID happened, so that year was kind of off the books. But the 2 years post-COVID, we received emerging to school-wide status, which we were super excited about, because that meant that we were kind of on the rubric past just doing okay and meeting certification, but getting our strategies out and doing everything a little bit better and a little bit better. So 2 weeks ago, when we received word that Avid had again looked at all of our certification data for 22-23, we got school-wide. Thank you. That's more like the Avid peeps. Anyways, that might not mean a lot to anybody outside of the program, but to be honest, it's a really, really big deal for our town. So I want to bring Colette Simpson up here. She, as Pete mentioned, is our high school site coordinator. And because of this crazy lady, I get to say that, right? Yeah. She's really responsible for the actions behind the Avid program. She keeps the site team going. We meet frequently. We talk about the goals that we've chosen. She has to make sure that the goals in the Avid program align with district and building goals. Things like making sure that general education teachers are trained in these strategies, that admin is trained. She hounds these guys to make sure that they're always going to the things. Working with me and the district and the finance department, Avid isn't cheap. As he mentioned, these trainings and summer things that we have to go to are fairly expensive, but the district's always committed to this, and that's in part because of her advocacy. And then 2 more things. She aligns with McFarland, the coordinator at McFarland, to make sure that our 7-12 program is consistent with field trips and retention of students and interviewing, making sure kids know what they're getting into in the high school. And finally, to fight tooth and nail to get the right people in the program. So with that, she gets to introduce some of the right people.
Thank you, Amy. So I have been involved with the program for 13 of the 14 years, and it has changed me as a teacher and me as a human. And I know that it has changed a ton of our kids' lives too. But the people that do the work really are the Avid teachers, and we have a bunch of them here with us. And Amy said that they're rock stars, and they really, truly are. So I'm going to introduce them, the ones that came. So Terry Perez. Terry has done 2 full cycles for us. So her second group of kids will graduate high school this year. And of all of us, she has some magic touch. She has kept more kids in her class than some of the rest of us have been able to do. And part of that is because of the family atmosphere that she creates with her students. So she has made a huge difference over the last 8 years. Paul Firth. And Paul, this is your second cycle. This is his second cycle of kids. They're juniors this year. A cycle is keeping them all 4 years. So he's had 2 groups all the way through, and he actually has been involved since day one. He was one of the gen ed teachers that went to that first training and started learning about Wicker and all the teaching strategies that Avid pushes on to us and teaches us, and he started implementing those in his regular gen ed classroom. We have Bailey Wilson, and Bailey is on her second group of students also. They're sophomores right now, so she's done 1 full group, and now she's picked up a second group. And she is actually teaching 2 Avid 10 classes, which is a lot. And she's just got the energy for these kids and the love for them. Her ones that graduated are still in touch with her all the time, so that says a lot about Bailey. We have Cameron Hoffman. And Cameron, this is your second and a half? Yeah, second full one, and he picked up a group at some point, yeah. So Cameron's been with us for a long time, and he teaches our reading classes also, so he's able to push those strategies out to our reading kids, some of whom are ones who really need that intervention. And then we have Mandy Perez, and Mandy and I started together, we had the same class, and working with Mandy changed my teaching. Mandy is an amazing teacher. And I was tired and wanted to break, and she convinced me, no, we got to go through, we got to get another group. And then we did, and then she left. She went to be an instructional coach, and she abandoned me, and I have never, not once, let her live it down. But luckily for us, she is absolutely involved in every bit of our AVID program, every bit of it. She has been to so many trainings. When she does PD for our school, she uses all the AVID strategies. She models them for us. She helps teachers learn how to use them in her classroom. She helps us with recruitment and with interviews, and she's on our site team. And honestly, Mandy could be running the whole show. She does amazing stuff for us. So our AVID program would not be what it is without the dedication of these teachers. What they do is beyond amazing. Their skills, just their teaching ability is it's just so high, it's so elevated, and because of that, when they, talk about AVID to our other teachers, they, they're role models, they lead by example. What they do in the classroom has not only impacted our AVID, our little classes, but it has gone out into our general population. I want to say how really proud I am to work with them, but I also really, truly want to thank the board and the district for committing to this program for this long. I've been in education for 33 years. And this is one of the only programs I've ever seen that has been allowed to continue to grow and to be supported so that we could really learn our craft and do our work. So thank you for that. It really means a lot, and it has helped so many of our kids, and I hope that it continues to help them for a long time to come. But a big round of applause to the people that do the work.
Thank you. I wanted to recognize, we have two of our administrators here. Without them on our site team also helping us make sure and coordinate all this stuff, they would, we would be nowhere. So thank you for David, Spencer, and Kat for being here. Will, principal at Hiawatha, was an AVID teacher. Jessica was an AVID teacher. Pete brought in AVID from the beginning, and so he messed with the whole first couple of years of kids. Let's see, who else? Am I missing anybody? Sandra signed lots of checks. Anyways, thank you for that. We appreciate you letting us talk about our program, and there's one more designation, but we're not sure we want it, because that means everyone comes and visits you, and just take too much time.
We'll stick right here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now we will move on to student representative reports.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys have been having a great weekend and the start of your week. My report is that we have a date set for Cookies and Convo at the high school. The date is April 19th at the high school. It should be during both lunches?
Yes.
During both lunches. So we have a meeting planned to prep ourselves and prep the high school and you guys to help plan this process as we go along further into the month. And as well as for the senior class, we have been working with our senior presentations for the past month-ish, I believe, and our presentations will be held next month around April 23rd, 22nd, I believe. So our students have been working on creating presentations about our site visits and our personal goals after high school as well to prepare us, what we want to prepare us for the future in our careers. So that has been a little stressful, but it's okay because it prepares us for future life skills that we need. So that's perfect. So thank you.
Also, a huge thank you to Mrs. Atchison for meeting with the student representatives and helping us coordinate all these activities. We couldn't have done it without you. Now, good afternoon, everybody. My student representative report will be an overview of how community night went. Although the idea of having a night dedicated to the community was beneficial, We will most likely be having it again sometime in August to coordinate it with the beginning school year, where we can have any members in the community come up to us and ask us any questions regarding the new school year. Overall, we had a really great conversation on the elementary school electives and how we could do a better job as a school board to communicate giant decisions to the community. I'd like to thank everyone who attended, especially to the school board who helped me coordinate all this. You guys are awesome. Now, I'd like to wish all the students at Othello High School good luck, since this week marks the final week of trimester 2, which means finals, our favorite. Good luck to all the students. Thank you.
President Johnson, could I step back for just a moment? I apologize. I know typically when we do recognition, we like to invite the board forward to take a picture with the folks that we're recognizing. Would the board be okay with taking a picture with these fine folks?
Yes,
All right.
definitely.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. That's what I was hoping for. Yes, probably. I feel like we need to meet. You're the lead person. Let's
Thanks, you guys.
Okay, we will go on to board member discussion. Legislative report. Aaron?
Yep, just a quick thing for legislative report, just about this bill that we've been kind of keeping an eye on. That's Senate Bill 5462, has to do with, I'm just gonna kind of read what it says here, promoting inclusive learning standards and instructional materials in public schools. Some of the other school districts on this side of the state have been kind of concerned about it. The Ephrata School Board actually kind of came out against it. And so they feel, some of the schools in our side of the state feel that it gives the state too much power over the curriculum, that too much say in what they do. So just been kind of keeping an eye on that, but it has actually passed in both the Senate and the House, and it is on the governor's desk now. So, yep.
Would this actually take away some of the local control? Was that the concern?
I think that's certainly some of the fear that, as I read about it, what they're calling for is things that already happen in curriculum selection and design. When Assistant Superintendent Jessica Schenk takes a group through selecting math materials or social studies materials, we have a pretty comprehensive checklist that we go through to say, who's represented, what is this information, like those kinds of, and parents always have an opportunity to come in and review that stuff. This bill in particular was being more inclusive and including more groups in that legislation. Senator Schessler from our area sent out a message to superintendents after it passed, letting folks know that he had opposed it, but that it had in fact passed. So we'll wait for some direction from OSPI and from WASDA around model policies, and then we'll bring that to the board before we make any significant changes.
We got the DOHS site visit coming up on March 18th. That's next Monday morning. I believe our agenda is there. So take a look at that. And then we got the 23-24 ICOS report and presentation.
Yeah, so we invited Greg Fultz here this evening. In required approvals, you'll notice that there's an item related to the ICOS report, which is information and condition of schools. And I think we just wanted Greg to give you a little bit of information on what this entails, what we do. That way, when you were voting to approve it, you have that background knowledge, particularly for our new directors.
All right, thank you. Dr. Perez and I thought it would be good just to go over what ICOS is, since it's a night of acronyms, AVID, ICOS, SCAP, you're going to hear that too. before you approved it and required approvals, it's required to be done once a year. So ICOS is an inventory condition system that the state started about 2012, just a little over 10 years ago. And part of that, they asked schools to create an asset prevention program, which is what our program is called. And basically, our program just says that we're going to input our information into their state database. And ICOS is their state database. And what it's doing is it's just giving us an opportunity to grade different parts of the schools on a 0 to 100% basis for foundations, walls, I mean, everything in the school. And it was started to help kind of keep track of inventory of schools and their conditions because of SCAP funding, School Construction Assistance Program. So when you go out to build a school and you want the state to help pay for it, that's SCAP. And then the state's like, well, wait a minute, we're paying for these schools. How do we know that they're getting taken care of? So they started ICOS. So that's what it entails. Now, we only have, in the report, you only see 3 buildings. That's Wahidas, our bus garage, and the 700 wing at the high school. Those are the only 3 that are required to be reported to ICOS. And the only 3 that are required to be board approved. Although we put every building is in ICOS. We do every building, even our portables, every year. We reassess them just to make sure that information's there. We started it in 2014 is when the asset prevention program started. And we're building our database up so when SCAP funding comes up next time, we've got some information to go with it. And then this year was different because every 6th year on a building, you're required to hire someone from outside your district to come in as a consultant and do your building themselves. So the 700 wing was due this year. So that one was done by a consultant. Wahidas was done the year before, and I believe the bus garage is due in 2 years for consultant. Otherwise, it's done by me. I go through it every year and I say, okay, what changed from last year, right? I don't have time to go walk all the schools every year, but what changed from last year? What's in our work order system? What have we noticed as big deals? And then we go back through the ICOS report and make changes as needed. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them for you.
Between your assessment and the contractor, was there a big difference or was it pretty spot on?
He didn't change much on the 700 wing.
So it's pretty much.
Yeah, it's pretty close. You know, the big things that we look for, that the scoring's a little skewed because you have, you know, great, 100%. And then you have, okay, drops to 90%. Then if you put poor, drops to 62%. And then you have fair after that, it drops like 30%. I mean, it just goes down really fast. So our biggest concerns are foundations. Rest of it's normal wear and tear. I mean, roofs and foundations are the big things, right? If you got a good roof and you got a good foundation, you can pretty much keep everything else in between going pretty good, so.
Why is the bus garage, Wahidas, and the 700 wing the only ones that are required to report to ICOS?
Because we received SCAP funding after, well, Wahidas was before we did the asset prevention program, but it was after they started ICOS. So we received SCAP funding for that school after they started ICOS. Bus garage and the 700 wing were part of that. We remodeled the offices at the high school between now and then, but we didn't use any SCAP funding for that, so it's not required to be part of it.
Okay.
What's the protocol if something's wrong, that you find something wrong, what's the next step then?
As part of ICOS, just note it in ICOS. Obviously, in the maintenance side of it, we're gonna try to remedy the problem or mediate it. Yeah, it's just an inventory control. You could put 0 on everything if that's what it is. It just gets logged into the state. But on our end, obviously, we gotta take care of it.
Right. Greg, and it doesn't change, like let's say you found foundation issues after 6 years. The next time you go to ask it for money for that building, would they be willing to give you more because of the longevity or less? Or?
At this time, no, legislation hasn't changed anything. It's just a way to log building conditions at this time. And you're required to do it if you want to receive funding later on. But I haven't heard of anything or had any conversations about what it actually says and how it would affect the funding, if it's going to give you more or less.
Gotcha.
see, I see in the chart that there's a not reported for the most recent year to the board. So is that coming up, the report for that?
The, which one?
So each year it says when it was reported to the board, but this most recent one says not reported. So is that just, we haven't done the report yet?
We haven't done it yet, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this, your approval tonight will, we'll input that into ICOS and then it'll show reported.
Just one comment to, if the board would like to build its background knowledge, I can send you a link to the WAC. It's 392-347-023, and it describes what Greg's been talking about, lays out the years, talks about a hiring an evaluator, all those components. And just like the conversation that Director Gerber shared about the curriculum adoption and inclusivity, it's an example of the state saying, here's what we need to do, OSPI come up with a way to get it done. They've come up with ICOS. So there, I'll send you a link to that if you want to just build your background around it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Greg.
With that, we will go to the required approvals. Do I have a motion?
I will motion to approve required approvals.
I will second that.
Got a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries. Now we will go on to superintendent informational items.
Just one item this evening for the board. It's around graduation. As we had several conversations several months ago about the location for graduation and the determination that we were going to house it here at Husky Stadium. So we've been meeting on a regular basis. The meetings have involved local law enforcement, particularly Chief Rem, and we've been coordinating with him what that day is going to look and feel like. At our last meeting, Kat Atchison, principal from Othello High School, Tim Taff, Greg Foltz, and myself, we sat down and had a schematic of the stadium and began to talk about safety protocols. So I just wanted to let you know a couple of things around safety, around seating, and around time. And this information will start to get pushed out to students. I had a conversation with Katie actually about it. No, I didn't. It was the AVID class at Othello High School. The kids are itching to know how things are going to work. So from a safety perspective, OPD will have a significant presence and they'll be leading the safety that day. So in coordination with Chief Ram, we'll have a plan where folks are going to be stationed and what their role is going to be. We'll also be providing private security. So we're expecting a quote in the next day or two from Phoenix Security. They actually did our graduation 2 years ago, I think. And so I've had an initial phone conversation with them about the needs, and they needed some additional information from us about the layout and some changes that we were going to make. We had talked initially about purchasing screening resources to get people in and out, metal detectors and that thing. It's actually something that Phoenix can provide on a rental basis, so we're just going to do a cost analysis. How much would it cost to purchase our own and to man those versus renting them? So that'll be part of the quote that we'll share with the board and with the community. And then Chief Rem, in coordination with the folks who come from Phoenix, he'll design where people are going to be and how we're going to monitor the event. It will feel different for people to be screened when they come in, to say that we're going to have clear bags, those kinds of things that you would expect at any large gathering. We're going to start to communicate that. As it relates to seating, Greg Foltz did some work on the number of seats available. I know some of the conversation last year was, we'll buy more bleachers, and that was never the problem. The problem was, can we maintain safety in a crowd that size, and what do we need to do to control it just a little bit better? We think the number is going to be, so I say this cautiously for Katie and her friends, but we think each graduate is going to get 8 tickets, priority seats, so that they can be seated in the field area. And rather than doing a ticket itself, we're designing a wristband like you might get at a fair or a concert. And so each student would get 8 of those, sort of a memento of the event, to allow folks to be in this ticketed area. And then the general grandstands and bleachers would be open to the public. We are doing the work on 4th Avenue to improve that entrance, and we're going to create a priority entrance for people who have the priority seating. So lots of ideas coming out about how to do that efficiently. As it relates to efficiency, though, we know it's going to be slower this year because we've never done it, and we're going to screen people differently. Graduation is scheduled to start at 7 p.m. We're going to push it back an hour and start it at 8 p.m. to give us some more time on the front end to get people in and out. We also think that'll help with the sun coming down behind the trees and just make it a little more comfortable. I think there was some noise about, well, the announcements went out, it says 7 p.m. We're just going to have to take the heat on that one and say, well, it makes more sense to do it at 8. So that's our plan right now. And then the last thing I would share with the board is around parking. We're going to do something a little bit different with the seniors this year. Typically, we have them come an hour and a half before the ceremony. We take a group picture. We screen everybody to make sure they don't have anything crazy under their gown. We're going to do that this year off-site at Wahitas. So we'll have the air conditioner going. We'll bring them into the commons and into the gym area. We'll get everybody screened. And then Marion Shade and her team are going to transport everybody over to Othello High School. So that means all of our seniors won't be parked at the high school. That'll open up more parking there. And we've also had a conversation with the new owner of the old CBHA building on Main Street to talk about accessing their parking lot. And we might have to bring some folks up that hill, but working on coordinating just a little bit better parking as well. So lots of things in the works. We've been meeting monthly. I think we're going to ramp that up and meet every couple weeks now to make sure that we're ready. And when we're ready, we'll begin communicating all that out to not only our students, but to our families. And I think Katie has a question.
So would there be like a time where every single senior will have a time to meet and talk about these type of updates along the way?
Yeah. So we've talked a couple ways about that, which I think we would do. One would be to talk with your principal, Mrs. Atchison, and say, hey, we need a senior meeting, everybody in the Aux gym during advisory. Another way to do it might be, hey, we're just going to do it in advisory. We're going to train your advisory teacher. We're going to give them all the info. We'll give them a little PowerPoint show, and they could give you that information. So I'm going to leave that up to her a little bit. But yeah, we'll definitely sit down and make sure that everyone gets the messaging. But you, as a student rep, should feel comfortable sharing what was shared tonight.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Just not on Instagram or Snapchat.
Okay.
Any other questions for the board about graduation?
I don't have a question. I just want to express appreciation for, this takes a ton of time and planning and coordinating and all the things. So thank you to you and your team for putting it out there and trying to come up with solutions so that it accomplishes what everybody wants, which is that we have a safe experience and that our kids get to graduate and that we keep that here locally. Maybe that's not what everybody wants, but I know everyone wants it to be a safe experience. So I appreciate that you're going the extra mile for that. Thank you.
Yep, I think it's going to be a great event for the students. We're all looking forward to it. So, all right, well, thank you for that.
Okay, any further questions on that? Okay, then we will go on to district priorities.
You're hearing a lot from me tonight. I apologize for that. Several weeks ago, I think when we brought the new directors on, we had talked about, I had actually put this presentation out, but we didn't have a full board that night. And so some of this is going to be a rehash for Director Johnson and Director Prowse, but for our new board members, I just wanted to share a couple of visuals. And hey, thanks guys.
Yes, thank you.
I wanted to share a couple of visuals about the work across the district. So page 2 is a list of norms that we use in our meetings, and I think it's important to let you know how we work in our schools, but also some of the things that happen in our own board meetings, that we want to assume that everyone comes to this meeting to do what's best for kids. That's what you heard tonight from all the AVID people. That's why they do all that work. You want to make sure when you have questions that you ask. I'm wondering what they're doing about graduation. Why do we do ICOS? How come we have an evaluator, and is he smarter than Greg, and how close was Greg's score, right? Take an inquiry stance is what we want people to do. And then using protocols to make sure that everyone can be heard and to share their voice. So I wanted to let you know about some of the norms that we use in our system and that you might experience when you visit schools. The next one is a visual that I have shared on a number of occasions, and I think this one really gets at the heart of strategic planning, that if we can get all of our actions lined up, moving in the right direction, that we can move outcomes for kids. We can make sure that our teachers and our staff feel supported and safe, and that our parents are proud of the product that comes out of our schools. And so this visual for me is a way of thinking about strategic planning, and when those arrows aren't lined up, we get conflict, and we get tension, and you get phone calls, and I get phone calls. The next one is another way to think about the system, and what I wanted to share in this one is What you really heard about Avid tonight was systems thinking. Avid talks about a system. We're going to do it in this way. You're going to get this training. We're going to audit you. We're going to check in on it. It's all about accountability and feedback. And you need to demonstrate that you're doing what you say you're going to do. And then is the data that we want for kids, are we actually getting it? And so Avid has an excellent structure for that. This one also makes me think about the experiences recently that Director Gerber and Director Pruneda have been initiating with some of our principals. I really think that's organizational learning. You're going and talking with the principals. You're getting feedback from them. You're giving them feedback. There are times where you visit teachers' classrooms. You see what's happening in the classrooms, direct inspection. Like, that's the part that you're working on. And then in the springtime, we're going to talk about student outcomes. What percentage of kids graduated on time? What do our Smarter Balanced Assessment scores say? Principals are going to get in front of you and talk to you about the work that they've been leading. So this is the way we think about the work as a system. And oftentimes, I situate the board outside of this. They kind of help get things going. But I know there are times where you do visit sites, and in fact, we schedule them, right? So you can be there. And I'm sure that you get phone calls from people who work in the system. And you just have to think about what you are responsible for and what you can influence. The next image, not an image, but it's just a statement. And I think, again, this ties into strategic planning. Right now, we have 3 priorities in the district. And we've stuck on that for 2 years now. And we're going to continue to stick in that lane because we're finding the smallest number of things. We don't want to be all over the place like that house image. We don't want all those arrows, right? We want to make sure that they're all lined up and coordinated. But this is really the research behind it. High leverage things that are easy for people to understand. That's what we need to put out and help people consider. You have one employee, and that's me. And my responsibility is to make sure that I'm getting the outcomes that the board says to the community we're going to deliver. And I do it in these 3 ways. Through talking about PLCs, about feedback, and thinking about our multilingual learners. That's what we've been talking about for the last 2 years. And I do that by spending my time in schools. And I think for Director Pruneda and Director Gerber, you're finding that. When you go out and visit, it brings clarity to you. So it's not only leading with clarity, it's understanding and getting more clarity about what's actually happening out there. And then the last one is a little video link. Do you have the live link? And we need audio for this one. No, stop. We need audio. So while we're working on the audio, the reason that I like this image in particular in thinking about the board's work, if you think about the gentleman with the green hard hat, if that's the school board, and you think about the gray hard hat, and that's the superintendent in the district office. And you think about one of the blue hard hats, and that's maybe the Teachers Association. And the other blue hard hat is PSE, right? We all want the same thing, and that's really good outcomes for kids. And when we do it right, and we do it in a coordinated way, this is how it should sound, and this is what we would get. Oh, you're so close. Well, you're going to have to play it again anyway, so stop it. I'm building it up so much, but the sound really matters because it's the coordinated effort and that idea about strategy and doing things together. And also, I think another interesting thing about this video is if you swing your hammer at the wrong time in the wrong way, someone's going to get hurt. You're going to hurt feelings. You're going to get emotional. You're going to make poor decisions. And so there's a little bit of safety and cover for all of us in making sure we work in a coordinated way. These poor guys are going to get tired. They keep swinging.
Just a quick note. I
yeah.
did get a message that it's hard to hear the video through the live feed.
The whole meeting? Okay. Oh, here we go. All right. You're going to be like, that's what he wanted? Okay, what I like about it is that what we do in schools is really hard work. And what you do as a board member is really hard work. There are challenging moments that we all have to deal with. And again, if we're looking out for one another, we're being cautious about the power that we wield, and we're all doing it with the same outcome, right? Driving that stake in the ground, going as hard as we can to get really good outcomes for kids like Katie and Sebastian. That's what our jobs are. So I just wanted to provide some of the ways and visuals that we think about the work, and maybe that all feels better now, 2 months after when I was originally going to do it. So maybe it's fortunate that we did that. So any questions about any of that content or anything that resonated with you?
And just on that stake, it's a rhythm, like, and then you watch them as they swing, they know they can come down and come back, so it kind of ties it all together, just like you're saying, if we all work together, we can get the same results.
You get in a little bit of flow. And even though they weren't talking, they're communicating. When I hear that sound, when I see Chris go, then I go, then the next guy goes. That's a great point.
Well, and the level of trust that they have to have in each other, that they're all gonna show up and do their job, and that they're gonna do it well enough that they're not gonna slam you in the toe or mess it up. Like, it takes a lot of faith in each other to make it sound like that.
Each guy's relying on the other three to
Yeah.
be in the same rhythm, and the minute one of those guys had a rhythm, then the whole thing
Yep,
collapsed. Good video.
yeah. Worth the wait.
Worth the wait, all right. Well, thank you for letting me share that, Ken. I appreciate that, and that's all for the district priorities. I guess I do want to make a connection to think about the community that those gentlemen swinging those hammers have, and the community you were just describing. We're one community, right? We're a governance team. Those are the things we're working on. We give each other feedback. When we do hit someone with a hammer, something gets out of whack, or one of us is tired or not here, we do it when we do the assessment of the board meetings, and we're giving each other feedback. Yeah, those all tie into the kind of work that we're trying to do across the school district. Thanks.
Okay, with that, we'll go to policy review. Again, we have the first readings on some of the 3000s. If you get a chance to review them, questions or comments, they will be coming back for approval at the next meeting. Any questions on that? Okay, then we will go to upcoming events. Tomorrow, training on the open public meeting and open public records, I believe. And then we have a special meeting afterwards too. March 18th, next Monday, DOHS school site visit. And then our last meeting for March, March 25th. Is there anything else to add to the calendar for March? Okay, we will go on to the board self-assessment of the meeting.
I wish that I would have said this before all of the AVID team left, but some of the people that were here tonight are some people that I respect the most in the district, some of the hardest working people that really impact kids and are doing such great work. And even if I didn't feel that way personally, the proof is in the applications that we get for scholarships. I mean, these AVID kids are just, they're so good that I wish that every kid in our district had access to being an AVID, because it's just, they're amazing kids and led by amazing adults who go above and beyond. So I just maybe share that message with them, that they make such a huge impact, and we're so grateful as a board for all the hard work that they put in, and it really matters, the work that they do, and so grateful that they came tonight and presented and shared all of the success. And I'm super proud that you guys are getting recognized to make this go school-wide. I don't know what that means, but, I know it's great. So, anyway, thank you. So, yeah, perfect, thanks.
Pete, also, we didn't get to mention, me and Aaron went to Hiawatha and we did a walk around, and I just wanna tell you, obviously you guys have probably been there, Chris, you missed it, but I'm super impressed with that staff. They had a fire going on, and that way that team in that front office got together to try to find out if it was a kid's teacher. Will, you're amazing. Spanish speaking, you're right on. Better than me. I don't ever want to go on a spelling bee in Spanish with you. Remind me not to do that. Just thank you for everything that you do. The staff was amazing. Thank you for he took the time on a very short notice to take me and Aaron around. The school was great. We got to see Lauren Jensen, this big guy, reading this tiny little book to these little kids. It was amazing. And to hear a little girl ask who the publisher was. It was just, the whole visit was amazing, and I want to just say thank you. Thank you to you and your team.
Anything else to add to that?
I appreciate the student feedback and really appreciate just having recognition. And also the presentation tonight, Pete, with leading with clarity. Very well planned agenda as well.
Graduation update.
Yes.
It's always nice to hear that.
Yeah, I'd like to, jump in on the graduation. I know before I ever got elected to the board, I know that's been a hot topic in the community, so it's good to see that we got a good plan, a good agenda, and so we can kind of start spreading the word and let people know, because I know, like I said, it was a hot time. I had a lot of people mention to me, and I had no idea it was gonna be an issue, so kind of got wet real fast, but yeah, no, good. I like it.
Yeah, I would like to add something about graduation too. As a senior, I'm always having questions about graduation because, everyone's asking me, hey, any updates? And I finally have something for them to update with. So that was really good. It was good because we have less than 3 months left and we're pushing through. So thank you for your guys' hard work about this really big topic that has been a concern for the past few months. It's honestly thank you. I can't say anything else. I really appreciate it. And probably the family members at home watching, the students watching, probably appreciate you guys as well. So thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, being none, then we will go on to the executive session. The board will recess into an executive session for 30 minutes to discuss the performance of a public employee. No action will be taken following the executive session. We'll meet back in Pete's office in 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.